Welcome to Tycoons of Small Biz, a podcast where small business owners are celebrated as the backbone of the American economy. Each week, we introduce you to tycoons who share their stories and advice so that small business owners may learn from their experiences. Tycoons is powered by Backbone Planning Partners, FinTrepid Solutions, and Pivotal Advisors. Join us now as our hosts connect you to today's tycoons.
Good afternoon, Tycoons, and welcome to today's episode of Tycoons of Small Biz. I am here, your host, as always, Austin Peterson, coming to you live from Gilbert, Arizona. It's sunny and 75, but in my office, it is not very warm, so I've got a jacket on. But today is a special recording, I guess, or special episode. Today happens to be Election Day, November 8th. And, so if you haven't gotten out there and done your civic duty, please get out there and do that. We all need to vote, make sure our voice is heard. If this is the first time you're listening to our podcast and you're wondering what it is that we do here at Tycoons of Small Biz, we are a podcast that's put together by small business owners for small business owners. It is our belief that the backbone of the American economy is the small business owner. They really drive the economy here in the United States. And so we put together this podcast in May of 2020. As a way to prop up the small business owner, give them an opportunity to tell their story and get their message out there and talk about their successes, talk about their failures, and just give them an opportunity to be heard and make sure that their story is being shared. So with that being said, we definitely have a tycoon of small biz on the podcast with us today. We've got Gene. Really, his name is Gennady. Gene is his Americanized name, so we'll talk about that here in a minute. But Gene Leyzarovich coming to us from the Steel City, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Gene, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Austin, for having us. And what a great show and great name, Tycoon of Small Business. I'm honored to be called a Tycoon of Small Business. That's great. So yeah, and definitely a special episode today because definitely I already voted. So and I hope everybody goes out and vote. That's definitely a big day today. So definitely happy to put in the vote today.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for you, compared to many of our guests, it probably means a little bit more, right? Being able to participate in a free and fair election.
That's right. Yes, I came here 30 years ago from Russia and became a citizen 5 years later, and definitely proud to vote every time I can. So
yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit more about that. I mean, we always start by having our guests tell us a little bit about themselves personally. So tell us your story. I mean, you just mentioned that you're a refugee from Moscow, Russia, came here about 30 years ago, but tell us the rest of the story. Let us know who Gene is and what your family's like today and kind of the, what happened the last 30 years.
Right. Absolutely. So I came here, 30 years ago, 31, it was 91. October 26, 1991, we came here as a refugees from Moscow, Russia. We applied to come here in 3 years before that. So in 91, we got approved to come to the States. And about October of 2020, 1991, October of about 2024, my mom woke me up and, she said, look outside the window. And I looked out and there were tanks on the streets. So basically it was a first coup that Russia had, and they closed the borders for 3 days and we couldn't get out. So it was quite an experience, already, we already had visas to go to the States, but, we couldn't get out for 3 days because they closed the borders, they closed airports. And they had tanks on the streets. There was no government for 3 days, and it was really nerve-wracking to get out. So luckily, we got out 3 days later and came to United States. It was basically $100 in our pockets. Came through JFK and then ended up here in Pittsburgh, which we lived here. Already been living here for about 30 years. And then I came here with my mom, my dad, my sister, and my aunt, my uncles and my grandparents. They passed away already, but it was a big family. It was about 11 of us. And then 3 years later, we decided to open up a company. Start getting into, open up a small business. However, before that, I also got accepted to go to university. And then I got a job working at the medical center, local medical center, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center here as a nurse's aide. So basically, I was going to school, I was working at the hospital, and then I started my small business in 1994. It was, it was not easy. We were just, I was 18, and at that point I was like 21 when I started my business. So it was just a very, very tough start. We didn't get any funding from anybody. We went to the bank and tried to get loans, and we couldn't get anything because we didn't have any collateral. So they were asking us, "What are you guys gonna, use it as collateral?" And we didn't have anything. So we just started bootstrapping everything from our apartments, and it was not easy at all. We actually borrowed some money from our parents that we ended up paying back. We were just working from our apartments pretty much for about 5 years until we opened up an office in about 1999 here in Pittsburgh. And then we created, our own brand, which is called JetStor. And we started manufacturing and building our own storage solutions here in Pittsburgh. So then I got married, and then I have 2 kids, 2 seniors, one is senior in college, one is senior in high school, and 2 girls. And she's going to computer science. She's going to be graduating this year, and then one is graduating from high school, so she'll be going to university as well. It's been a long ride. We've been in business 28 years, and it's been very interesting ride, because like I said, we couldn't get any funding, we couldn't get anything from anybody. So it was just bootstrapping and going door to doors really, and trying to get the business and trying to get the business going. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because what you just described is literally the American dream that everybody talks about, right? And it's why you and your family wanted to come to America specifically, right? I mean, there are reasons that you wanted to be out of Russia, but specifically to come to America was that you have that ability to build that dream. But it's not easy. It never is, right? I mean, just because it's possible doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, that it's going to be a walk in the park, it's going to be, beautiful or really a fun thing to do all the time. But you've been able to kind of come out the other side, so to speak, at this point. And that's got to feel, tremendous.
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, to start out, it's just like I tell people, it's just like you're going into the water and you start swimming basically without, learning how to swim. When you get into try to do your own business, it's just, you don't know, we had no plan, we had no customers, we had no money, we had no anything. And, we just wanted to do it. We wanted to succeed. And this obviously, this country offers an absolute amazing opportunities for everyone to succeed and to be something and to, be able to strive and be successful. And that's what we were able to do. But yes, it's a grind. It's every day, I wake up and I think that, what are we going to do today? What are we, what things do we need to do? Where do we go? Where do we find new customers? Where do we find new partners? What should we do? And that's entrepreneurship, it's at best. And I tell people that you can go to school, you can, get an MBA in small business entrepreneurship. Just like we talked about it, even though we all, like I graduated from college, I took some business classes, but to go through, to actually run your own business, you have to do it kind of on your own. You have to learn on your own mistakes. You're going to fail, you're going to succeed, and that's how you do it. That's how you learn. We were able to do it. It takes time, but it's possible. If I can do it, I think anyone can.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what you've built is tremendous. I mean, along the way, you've been put up for different entrepreneurship, entrepreneur of the year awards and all those sorts of things with Ernst and Young, which tremendous. I mean, that puts you in a level that is above most, right? So before we kind of jump into kind of how things have been built, why don't we just take a step back and tell us exactly what AC&NC JetStor is and does?
Right. So AC&NC stands for Advanced Computer Network Corporation, and we have our own federal trademark JetStor, and we build and service and sell data storage subsystems that are used in universities, governments, private clouds. So anything that's data storage related, we build it right here in Pittsburgh. We burn everything here, and then we ship it out around the country, around the world. So we have some major customers like Department of State, Navy, Department of Defense. We have our own GSA contract. And we work with a lot of educational universities and schools, K through 12s, like Columbia University is our customer, Duke University. And we also now working with a lot of MSPs, managed service providers, and cloud providers that use data backup, JetStor's backup devices and production services. We also have a lot of hospitals, so like a lot of what's called PACS systems, like X-rays, run on JetStors as well. So, and we actually have a lot of customers in Arizona as well. So we have actually a couple of MSPs in Arizona where you are, Austin. So we have we have customers around the world. Actually, an interesting fact, we actually have about 55% of UK police for forensics uses JetStor. So we actually have a office in UK, in London, and about half of the storage is they're using JetStor for forensics to catch all the criminals, cybercrime, and then other criminals that are they have to collect data on them. So we work with UK police. UK police uses a lot of JetStors as well. So
that's awesome. So tell me, the older daughter that's about to graduate from college with a computer science degree seems to kind of fit right into that JetStor spot. Is that the plan, or is she going to be forging her own path?
She's going to be forging her own path. She actually accepted an offer in Chicago, so she's going to be moving to Chicago in the summer. But she's going to be working for a digital transformation consulting firm. They have about 20,000 people. It's a worldwide, consulting company, and she's going to be working in a Salesforce consultancy. So, but they have customers. They have very big Fortune 500 customers like Walmart and Adidas and Finnair. So it's a pretty big company, and they keep telling me, Dad, you should have taught us how to what to do with with JetStor, so we would have keep running it. But I think they they're going to do just as well. Hopefully be successful in their own ways. But obviously I'm able to help them any way I can. But that's going to be interesting to see how we succeed, because like you said, I've been doing this for 28 years, so we'll see how how the things go. So I'm going to be 50 actually this year. So still young, still kicking.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're just a few years older than me. Obviously, we have the same haircut though. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it seems like the small business tycoons have like the same hairstyles.
Yeah, we rub it all off where we're sitting there trying to figure out what to do next to keep this afloat.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, that some some entrepreneurs, like I was listening to the previous one, and the guy has some kids that maybe go into the business and stuff like that. But yeah, I think my kids will probably go in their own paths. But we'll see how what we do as far as the exit plan. But we haven't given much thought about it. But we'll see. We're working on it.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
It sounds like you need to go back and read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People again. You got to begin with the end in mind, Gene.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny though. The older daughter, and who knows what the younger daughter wants to study in college, and maybe she goes the same direction, maybe not. But obviously, a computer science degree is not required to run the organization. But it'll be interesting to see, because I see this a lot. I work almost exclusively with family owned, businesses, and they go out and they kind of cut their teeth and forge their own path, and they do certain things, but then a lot of them come back and say, gosh, I gained this great experience. Now I want to kind of take over the family business and work there as well. So who knows? Never say never, right?
Right. Well, they see, they see me, they see, how I run it. They see the small business kind of culture, and they see the success, and maybe it will, my oldest one, she kind of wants to open up her own company maybe at some day. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be very interesting to see how their path is going to be. My youngest one actually wants to go into law. She actually created a mock trial team, and she is a state champion in speech and debate in her school. So she does really well in debating. She can out debate me. So we'll see. We'll see what she does. Maybe she'll open up her own firm. I mean, who knows? But they're very ambitious. They do have a good example, I guess. Hopefully. They see me, working every day, 24/7. So,
well, I was going to assume it was their mother, but
well, the brains come from the mother. So the brains come from the mother. But my wife, she does grant writing for the local opera company. So, but she's a very good writer. I don't know where I got the entrepreneur skills, but I guess. I was just born that way. So, and I can't see myself. I heard your other shows, and you were saying that you can't see yourself working for anyone. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like after 30 years, it's going to be hard for me to work for somebody. But you never know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you never know. But
maybe consulting or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a hard time with large corporation cultures and the way that all happens, and so. I know they don't want me working there, and I know I don't want to work there. So,
yeah, large corporations be like a maze. I mean, I have friends that work for like large corporations, and they're even though they have all this experience, they've been working at different companies, big companies, but they're having a hard time like navigating through the system, through all these layers of people and politics and all this stuff. So it's very tough. So it's like for us, like whenever we have to win a deal, we always say you have to win 3 P's: price, performance, and politics. And the politics for me is the toughest one, because I don't play golf. So I got to start playing golf, I think. So, because I think a lot of deals are done on the golf course anymore. So.
Yeah, well, I play golf, but not very well. So I don't know that helps me at all. But yeah. So Gene, let's kind of get into the nuts and bolts. I mean, you talk about your daughters maybe wanting to start their own business. So maybe, we frame it that way. But if you're meeting somebody for the first time, what advice would you give to them if they're wanting to open up a new business, right? You're 28 years in now. So what advice do you give to somebody looking back?
I would say, probably having a plan, or at least some kind of business plan, and kind of understanding of what the goals are. Maybe, having some kind of plan would be good, and having, maybe more advisors and mentors to kind of get you going. When we started, we didn't have a plan. So I think that, may or may not help, but, I think, looking back, probably should have had a better plan to how we're going to execute. But also, for me, I had a partner, which, I ended up buying out like about 10 years ago. And that was probably the best thing I've ever done. And but the worst thing I've done was that we were like 50-50. So there was no 51-49. So it took us like 8 months to get what's my attorney called corporate divorce. So it was a rough 8 months, because we couldn't get separated. So I would say my one, and I can probably do a business class on like how to do partnerships, but I would say that please just have 49-51, or have a majority. Somebody have to have a majority. If it's 3 partners, then obviously they can vote each other out. But having 50-50 is tough. I mean, you could have, we had the 18-year run together, but then after we decided, we realized that we couldn't work together anymore. It was tough to separate. So, and without having no paper, it definitely was not a good thing. But we were young, so we were kind of, I call it young and stupid. So we just did 50-50 because we didn't know we were going to be in business for 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years, because most businesses don't survive, right? So we survived for 28 years, but having 50-50 definitely not a good thing. So having a plan, and then definitely having a good structure, good agreement in place probably would help.
Yeah, for sure. And just to be clear, for those who are listening and wanting to take this advice, wanting to make money and own your own business is not a plan. you got to have more than that, right? You need to, and it doesn't have to be overly complicated. I'm a big believer. My own personal business plan that I write every single year is 1 page. I believe that it should be short, succinct, bullet points, whatever you need to do, but there needs to be a plan in place as to what you're trying to build and how you're going to build it, right?
Right. At least some kind of structure, at least some kind of ideas that you put on the paper that you can follow would definitely help. And yeah, just because you go into business, it doesn't mean you're going to make money or you're going to be successful. A lot of people have that perception, and I think it's just a myth. So, you're going to work hard. You're going to work 24/7. You're not going to have, you may not have a lot of social life. You may not have, may not see your kids for a long time, like as far as like, it's a big commitment to run business. It's a big commitment. You have a big responsibility because you're wearing a lot of hats. You're doing customer support, you're doing sales, you're doing marketing, you go on networking events. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, I have a stack of trade shows, things that we've done, every year, 4, 5, 10 trade shows a year. So you'll be traveling, you'll be meeting people. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely, if you stay focused and, and you can execute, then you definitely will be successful, but it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. So that's why there's not many entrepreneurs. I mean, there's a lot of small businesses, but I think entrepreneur is different. I mean, even though, like I said, it's just, you can't go to school for this kind of stuff. So it's like, you kind of, some people, they go into business like with a partner, and then they end up leaving because they just can't handle it anymore. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, some of the points that you make. I mean, like I mentioned, Landon and I work almost exclusively with family-owned businesses, and the dynamics that are involved, or in partnership disputes or whatever the case may be, there's so much that's involved in those sorts of things, and that really can make or break a partnership and a business. And you have to have open lines of communication throughout all of it. And that's really where it ends up, kind of coming off the rails. I mean, I don't know your situation with your partner buyout, but like you said, after 18 years, you couldn't really work together any longer. And I'll bet if you looked back and thought, okay, well, if we had been more communicative about this, or we had talked about this before it became a problem, or if I had expressed my frustrations about that to him or her, they may have been, a little bit more open with me, and we could have worked through that so that it didn't become, an issue. But like you said, I mean, hindsight's 2020. You never know exactly how it's going to work out, but there are certain things that you can do along the way to try to make a partnership as successful as possible.
Right. But, there's also like other dynamics like family. So, for example, like he had some maybe family issues, and then, maybe he decided to go to another state, like to Florida or something like that. So, maybe he decided to move, or there was a family issue. So there's not only, you can have all kinds of agreements, or you can have all kinds of, meetings and communications, but at the end of the day, there's other people that are also involves like, the significant others, where they say, oh, you're not paying attention to me, you're like 24/7 in the business, or the kids are not taken care of, or I want to go to whatever, Bahamas, or I don't want to be here anymore. So there's people that, yeah, obviously nothing is forever, so you kind of have to choose your partners wisely. But a lot of times, from what I see, I mean, if you see like Bill Gates with Paul Allen, or a lot of big companies even that performed as a partnerships ended up being a single person. So it's sort of kind of, it's great to have. I think it's, if you have like multiple partners, maybe more than one, maybe you have 5 or 3, or more than 2. When it's 2, it's just tough, because you're always butting heads, I think. Unless you're completely different, like maybe if you're like an engineer and the other guy's maybe like a more like sales guy, that's different. But if you and you have to be on the same page, you have to be kind of pulling it together. You also, that's another thing, like one partner may be pulling more, so they maybe like generating all the sales, they're generating all the leads, and the other partner is kind of like in the background just doing invoices or billing people, or doing a back office. Well, I can find people for back office, right? So right, so you have to define the responsibilities. Like if I'm talking to a customer, then you got to be doing something where everybody has to be pulling in the right direction, everybody has to be going after a goal, after being successful, after stay focused. If you lose focus, that's it. You're gonna have to drop out. So
Yeah,
that's what happened.
Yep, no doubt about it. I mean, every situation is different. No situation is perfect. There are things that you can do to offset it, but you're never going to completely eliminate the risk of partnership fallout. But it is important to do whatever you can to mitigate those risks, right?
Right.
And then the other thing that you mentioned that I found intriguing is, you actually use the same verbiage that Landon and I use quite frequently with our business owner clients, is that, there are a lot of hats that you have to wear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our job, Landon and I's job, is to work with business owners to help make sure that they're taking hats off, right? And they're starting to put those hats on other people.
Delegate.
Because, you've got to be able to delegate that. I mean, the reality is you've built an incredible organization, but if your business is heavily dependent on Gene being there day in and day out to run and to be profitable, it's not nearly as transferable as it is if Gene can take 6 months off and the business continues to grow.
Right. That's a challenge, as well. Exactly like in small businesses, it's that's the key. You have this key personnel, which is us, the business owners, and that's exactly right. We have to be able to, delegate, to transfer some of the responsibilities to our team. That's what I've done. I have a team around me that's, helping me to build this company, and that's, it's obviously, helped me to kind of stay back a little bit and try to see, what else we need to do to grow. But yeah, it's very difficult for a business owner as entrepreneur to like let it go. It's like a baby, and that's why a lot of people think of it like, like it's your baby. So like, how do you give it up? Yeah, it's very challenging. Very challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging. Most business owners are very type A personalities, and like you said, it is their baby, and they've built it to this point. But at the very least, you hit a plateau because you're only one person, and you can only take it so far on your own. But at the most, like I said earlier, your business doesn't really become transferable, meaning, you just talked about your daughters wanting to forge their own paths and may not have any interest ever into coming into JetStor. And so the way that you monetize this business is to sell it to somebody else. Right. And if they don't see a viable business without Gene, then it doesn't really become that valuable to anybody else.
Right. You have to be able to show. A lot of business owners, they have like this, I talked to, like they have this dream where they want to go for, whatever, 6 months somewhere, and then the business just runs on its own. A lot of these, guys that are, running the businesses now, that's kind of the model they're trying to accomplish. We'll see if that's going to be, they hire like a COO, like a chief operating officer, where the guy kind of runs day-to-day operations, and then they can stay back and be like a chairman or like a chairman of the board or something like that. And that's something that I'm kind of researching and see what can be done. But yeah, you're right, because at some point, nobody's getting any younger, so we got to figure out, for the next generation to take over.
Yeah, well, happy to talk to you about that, but that's not the point of what we're here for today. So, Gene, tell me at this point, right? Like, we've already talked about this. You've been doing, actually, you know what? Let's take a quick break, grab some water. We'll hear a quick call to action, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to ask you about what keeps you motivated, right? 28 years in, what keeps you motivated today to continue to grow and to turn this into something great?
Hey there, Tycoons. Austin Peterson here, co-host of Tycoons of Small Biz. If you think you have what it takes to be considered a tycoon and you're wondering how you could become a featured guest, please follow and then message us at Tycoons of Small Biz on LinkedIn. We'd love to have a conversation with you to see if it is a mutually good fit, and if so, we'll get you scheduled for an interview. If you're unsure about being a guest on our podcast, but are contemplating selling your business over the next few years and you'd like to know what your business is worth, please also follow us and then message us on LinkedIn for your no obligation, informal valuation of your business. We look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for listening to the Tycoons of Small Biz podcast. And now, back to today's program.
All right, Tycoons, welcome back. We're here with Gene Leyzarovich with AC&NC JetStor, coming to us from the Steel City in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where it's 50 degrees today. So 25 degrees cooler there than it is where I am. But Gene, like I said, right before the break, I want to ask you what keeps you motivated today, right? 28 years in, obviously by all measures, successful company, everything's going, pretty good now. What keeps you motivated today?
I mean, it's amazing that every day, like I said, every day I wake up, it's just like a new day, and I'm thinking, what are we going to do today, and what's new and exciting is going to happen in technology. I mean, we are obviously in the hottest kind of field. Technology is always evolving, and we've been competing against some of the biggest titans of tech. It's HPE and Dell EMC, Pure Storage, Network Appliance. Those are big public companies, and we've competed with them head to head for 28 years. And that's just that drive to be able to compete against these big, tycoons, or big, gorillas, or the sharks of this, technology, is what drives me every day. Is just the ability to compete and be focused and be, provide a customer service and provide a competitive product to our customers. So that's kind of what keeps me going, keeps me motivated, is that we are able to survive for so long with all these big sharks around us and swimming us and trying to, eat us, but they still can't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what I hear from that is, one, you're a competitive guy, right? You love the fact that you're going head to head with these name brand companies, right? Because let's be honest, most people
have heard of JetStor. That's right.
I've never heard of JetStor, right? So that's pretty cool. I mean, the fact that you can do that, but kind of fill us in. I mean, how is it that you're able to compete with them day in and day out? What is it that makes JetStor unique enough to win business against those large companies?
Right. So obviously we're not a big company, so our overhead is much smaller than any of these companies put together, or we are 100 times, 10 times less than they are in headcount. We don't have all these layers of VPs and seniors or VPs, this and that. We don't have all these departments, so we're able to service our customers at a much faster pace, as far as much faster response times, and of course the value that we provide. We provide them solutions that are cost effective. That's kind of been our motto, our slogan, for all these 28 years. We offer the best price performance ratio on the market. So we'll give you similar product, but at a lower cost. And because we have a smaller team and we outsource some of the production, but even though we do make a lot of stuff here, but some of it outsourced, but everything's being tested here in Pittsburgh and shipped out worldwide. But because we have a smaller team and we have a lower overhead, we're able to provide better value. And that's how we're able to compete with all these years against, all of those big companies. And we are, but we also have to maintain the level of support and service as they provide. So we provide like advanced replacement, we provide 4-hour, 2-hour response on our emails, on our calls. So everything is, we provide a similar type of support, similar type of product, but at a lower cost. But the value is there. And a lot of companies that have been working with us, like government customers, I mentioned, Navy, a lot of manufacturing companies, in hospitals, they've been working with us for 10 to 15 years. We have companies that have like 7, we are on our 8th generation of products, and they are already been using 7 generations of our products, the same customer. So they believe in us, so they keep coming back to us and keep buying JetStor.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. I mean, those types of contracts are humongous, obviously, right? They're large, they're important to your business. One
and
thing
they're hard to get. They're a lot of work. But when you get them, it's like an icing on the cake. We call them blue elephants. They come like once a year. So it's anywhere from like $200,000 to $500,000 a contract. And we get like maybe 1 or 2 a year like that. That's another thing what kept us going for all these years, that we don't have a single customer that gives us 25% of our business. That's actually a very interesting stat, but that's another thing for like a lot of entrepreneurs that I can kind of mentor them. I tell them, don't give don't go after one big contract, because if you lose it, you're done. So you have to be very diversified, and that's what we've been diversified. That's why we've been through a lot of these .coms and a lot of the economy is slow, recessions, and people still buying from us. Because number one, we have a good value. Even now, people are coming back to us because of we can offer similar products at lower cost. People still need to store their data, so they come into us. So that's another thing. Like a lot of people say, oh, you don't do well in recessions. Actually, we do well in recessions because people come back to small business because they're looking for value. So this is very interesting. And also, like I said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. We have a lot of customers but they don't give. We have over 4,000 customers, but there's not a single customer that gave us 25% of our business.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mention that, because the call to action that we just heard for our listeners talks about a business valuation. And one of the inputs that we look at when we're doing a business valuation is customer concentration. It's important.
Yes, very important.
You're absolutely right. You do not want a large percentage of your revenue coming from 1 or 2 customers.
That's a red flag. That's correct. Yes. Because you could lose that contract in a minute. It's not guaranteed that you're going to have it. So you got to diversify. You got to go out. And another thing, like with our customers are very diverse in industries and vertical markets. So we have educational, we have like universities, then we have manufacturers. We have we have guys that do movie productions and show productions and stuff like that. So then we have surveillance customers that do video surveillance. So not only you have to be diversified in your customer, but you also have diversified in your customer kind of application from different industries. So if you're doing everything, like we had a customer that was doing oil and gas. So when oil and gas went down, they were really hurting, and they were telling us, we have to slow down buying. But but we had other customers that were giving us business and that were doing well. So you always have to be diversified, kind of from all over. Yeah. So that's kind of very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you've taken some big risks in your life, Gene. You're not immune to risk, or you're not, or you don't shy away from risk, I should say. I mean, first of all, you came from a foreign country to the United States. You didn't speak the language. You had $100 in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
And then you started a business, right? But since then, what's the biggest risk you took?
The biggest risk I took, I think, well, in the past maybe 5 years. I mean, obviously, probably the biggest risk I took was probably open up the company, because I had no idea that that I will be sitting here talking to you, for example, because I mean, like I said, nobody knows how long they're going to survive in business, and just amazing that we're able to survive for 28 years. But in the past, probably 5 years, I've taken some financial risk. Like we actually landed some money for an MSP who then ended up not doing that well. And then we ended up taking some product back, and, we're able to kind of resell it to other customers. So basically, a lot of our competitors are doing what's called hardware as a service, basically where you provide hardware to a customer and they pay you per month. So it's a recurring revenue. And to do that, a lot of people use banks. Well, we decided to be our own bank. And we gave like I don't know, probably $500,000 at least, or maybe even 700,000 worth of equipment to a customer. And they ended up not doing well. So luckily we were able to get it back. But, my advice, probably looking back again, probably try to use banks or leasing companies in the future. And that's what I've been kind of using now, instead of doing it on your own. Because sometimes you may know the person really well, you may know the company really well, but things may not go well for them. And then all of a sudden, you may end up getting stuff back. And, but, we take some risks. So sometimes, you win, sometimes you lose. So luckily, like I said, we were able to, sell it to other customers, and we didn't lose as much. But it was pretty risky there, that we probably took that risk. Probably shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. No, I think sometimes risks pay off and sometimes they don't, right? And we have to learn from them. Yeah. But one thing that you mentioned, I think, is important to kind of unpack a little bit, right? So early on, no bank wanted to lend to you. You didn't have any collateral. You had no business history. You had nothing to kind of hang your hat on for them to lend to you.
Yes.
But nowadays, you do have the ability.
Yeah.
You do have the ability to get bank financing, and so. I hear sometimes from business owners and entrepreneurs how proud they are that they have no debt, right? And from a financial standpoint, sounds great. But the reality is sometimes leverage that is created by using somebody else's money in a smart way is how you really take your business from here to here. Yeah. Right. And so you still have to be smart about it. You have to make sure that it makes good financial sense and you have an understanding of what it is that you're taking on, because that's still a risk. You're still taking on debt that you have to pay back to somebody, other than, if you were to declare bankruptcy or whatever, if something goes wrong, but you're taking on a risk there still. But that may give you that ability to really augment your business by leveraging somebody else's dollars to get there.
Right, that's correct. And yeah, just exactly what happened. When we went in, from when we started, nobody would give us money. But 15 years later, our bank came back to me and said, well, we give you $150,000 credit line without personal guarantee. And I still have it and I haven't used it. It's really funny you say that. But it's like whenever you need it, you never get it. But whenever you don't need it, they'll give it to you. And the banks, they going after me, all the time. We'll give you all the credit you want, but I have no debt. Company has no debt, and that's another thing that that's why maybe we didn't grow to be $50 million company, because we just were conservative in that way, because we didn't want to take any investors, any VCs, any and things like that. So we were doing it all organically. And that's maybe good and maybe not so good, because like I said, we just didn't grow as much, but we were successful. We were successful in our own way, and we were able to be where we are, without external banks interference. So, and kind of being able to be your own boss, because if you have VCs, I mean, they're definitely going to run your life, so it's going to be tough.
Yep. No, it's not, I wouldn't say that it's good or bad, right, to be completely debt free. It's what are you wanting to accomplish, and what is the smartest way to get there, right? For you, it's not about building the next HP, right? It's about JetStor being successful, you doing what you wanted to do, building a great company with great employees and great culture. And yes, you've been financially successful along the way. You may not be a billionaire, right? But you're doing just fine. And so it's not that it's right or wrong. It's just that sometimes business owners tend to hang their hat on that. Well, we're debt free. We've never taken on any outside capital. We've never taken on any financing. We've never done this. We've never done that. And that's great. But that may have held you back. If you had a goal to grow to a different level, that may have held you back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, again, looking back, probably, we definitely could have done, maybe better, if we would have taken more debt, more investors, more, capital, then definitely would probably be growing, definitely faster or bigger, or, but I think, just like I always tell people, that everybody's going to have their own path. Everybody's going to have their own kind of, road. And as long as they're gonna do okay, doing that, and they satisfied and they're successful and they're happy, I think to each one of us will have our own path. And looking back, if somebody told me that I would have done what I've done, I mean, I probably, I probably would have not believed them, because, I came with a lot of people here that probably have not done as well as I have. And there are some people who have done probably better, but overall, if you do well above average, I think, it's good. And that's what I tell my kids, that, you have to be above average, because this country offers you this amazing ability to do whatever it is that you want to do, unlike any other countries. And I always tell my parents made a great choice, a great move, that they decided to leave Russia, and I'm grateful that they decided to come here, because this is just land of opportunities. It really is. It's just, people want to come here, every day. You see people, running through the border. So it's really, people are so desperate to come here. And, I think it just proves that, that you can accomplish anything in this country.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really what, it's all about, is it's the land of opportunity. You still have to put in the work to become successful, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. You just, nothing. I always tell this story that when people come, from different countries, they always look at me and they're like, wow, you came here with nothing, and now you like walking around like, just picking like money from the trees. And I'm like, no, this is not nothing. Money doesn't grow in the trees like that. It just doesn't happen. This is a hard work. You're going to be working 24/7. Just like, when I started, like I said, I was going to school, working at the hospital, and running my own business. And, when you run your own business, it's small and full time. You're running it. People like, well, when do you stop? I'm like, I think I'm, when I sleep, I think I dream of something that's going to happen next day. So it just never stops. It just never stops. Like, some people go from 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever it is, and then they stop. We don't stop. We just keep going. We're always thinking about something. So It's a different breed. I mean, the entrepreneur is a different breed. And it's just the way it is.
Yep, that is for sure. So, Gene, by all measures, like I said earlier, I mean, every success measure you can think of, you've been successful. But for you, how do you measure success? What is a successful person as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, so I think it's what you have done, after you, let's say if you open a business or if you go to school, or you just have to be kind of satisfied, with yourself. You have to assess yourself, assess your things that you accomplished, and see if that's, if you're happy with that, if you're satisfied. I think then you're successful. It's not about money. It's about, more of it like success, how many customers you have, how many, partners you have, do people recognize you? Do people want to talk to you and take your advice? It's more than just monetary things, because money just doesn't buy happiness. It's just a tool, but obviously it helps. But, you kind of, it will follow, the money will follow, but the success is more than just monetary things. So it's just you being satisfied with what you try to accomplish, and then hopefully you accomplished it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really more, the way I interpret that is it's more about the input than the output.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's what you put in is what you kind of set to do and set to to kind of accomplish, and then hopefully you're satisfied with what you've done.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so what's the answer? Are you satisfied with what you've done so far?
I think so. I think I definitely with like I said, when I came here when I was 18, I had no idea where I'm gonna be, what kind, like I had no idea what to expect. I was just dropped off here and I just started going. And I created my own path, surrounded myself with the right people. And I think, by all measures, I've done better than I expected to do. So I think it's, could I've done better? Maybe, but I think, from my abilities, like I always tell people, you can't jump over yourself. Everybody has a limit. Every person has a limit. You just can't, if you decide, you want to go to the moon, it doesn't mean you're going to go to the moon. I mean, some people can, but some people can't. So you have to know your limits, but also you have to push yourself. If you don't push yourself to accomplish something, to be successful, it doesn't matter if it's business or if it's just in life, you won't be able to do it. But you have to have that drive, that that passion, that do something, and then you'll be able to do it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Gene, believe it or not, we've come to the end of our time here. And so
that was great. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah, it was a very good conversation. Definitely.
Yeah,
it's almost like I felt like I was sitting right across from you at the table. So just like, it was a very, very good conversation. So.
Well, good. Yeah, no, I definitely appreciated it. So let's close this out with you telling people who are listening that would have, use for JetStor's products, or just want to talk to Gene and pick your brain about what you've done throughout your career. How do they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So yeah, they can find me. I'm very big on LinkedIn. I have about 60,000 people that follow me. They can find me on LinkedIn. Obviously our website, AC&NC.com, JetStor.com, they all go to the same URL, the same location. They can email me at Gene@acnc.com as well. They can definitely go through LinkedIn and message me. So, but we have a great website with a lot of information about our products, about solutions we have done, and with all the support that we offer. So we have all the contacts on the website as well. And then, then I'll be happy to answer any questions they have about JetStor or anything, as far as the mentorships or small business or anything like that. I can definitely advise anybody if they have any questions.
Cool. Well, again, I really appreciate the conversation. I think you've done a tremendous job of building a great company and really, fulfilling the American dream that you set out to fulfill 30 years ago when you arrived here.
Thank you so much, Austin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
You've been listening to Tycoons of Small Biz, a podcast for small business owners by small business owners. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Arizona time for an introduction to another great tycoon. And be sure to follow us on our social media channels for links to all of our episodes and great content.